Aloha, what's up everyone? I'm JayDreamerZ, welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to get into further detail about the Mayan 2012. The reason for this is because it's coming up, the quickening of time is coming up over and over in my personal research and in my life. I can feel that time is speeding up. And so I did a video, a couple of different videos relating time speeding up, and made the connection to the Mayan 2012 calendar, back whenever it was a huge deal and the whole world was kind of on edge. And anybody with a fringe theory, conspiracy theorists, truth seekers alike, everyone was waiting, everyone was watching to see what might happen in the year 2012. So that's what we're going to be talking about today and expounding upon. I'd like to get a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me. Just if you can hear me. I am working on a few changes to my channel. Okay, there's a new credits at the end. As you saw, there's a new intro too. I've been working pretty hard for about a week straight, making some updates to my channel and my content and stuff. So bear with me if there's any issues or anything. We'll try to push through that. I do have the chat pulled up, and I'll be keeping an eye out just to make sure that the audio is good as we begin here. Now, throughout this, the course of this, I'm going to be referencing a Wikipedia article, not because Wikipedia is the end-all be-all on anything truth, but just because it helps me to sort of give me prompts and things that I would like to comment on and discuss and talk about when it comes to the 2012 calendar and the Maya people. Let's see, let me just double check the chat. I don't see any thumbs ups. So hold on, let me see. I'm just double checking in the chat right now. It's possible I messed this up. Audio sounds great, says DT Fresh. It is a little later. Maybe that's why. Okay, cool. I do see some thumbs ups. Okay, let me just double check on my side on YouTube. DT Fresh. Okay, cool. It looks like we are live. Okay, cool. No worries. All right, sweet. Well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate your participation. Thanks for helping out. And hold on one second. Sorry, I get nervous whenever I do my live streams. I call it the time. Especially whenever there's troubleshooting or things I need to do on the fly. Boom. Okay, cool. All right, now let's go ahead and jump into some things here. The Mayan people. I think I'll start off by talking about the Mayan people because it's their calendar, right? They're the ones that had the calendar. So we'll look at when did the calendar begin and when did it allegedly end, or when will it end? So let's take a look at that first. All right, so let's see. The Mayan calendar, I think it was 3114. Yes, it began on the 13th of August in 3114 BC. Which is pretty interesting to me as far as a date goes. I feel like that's very near to whenever the deluge happened, or the great flooding of the world. And it was supposed to have ended on 2012, right? Most people believe that we're in the year 2025. We're not in the year 2025. And I'll explain that as we go along. Now let's take a look at the word Maya, right? Now the Maya people did not call themselves the Maya. Right? Maya comes from a Sanskrit word which implies things like illusion or magic. They were the people of illusion, or the people of magic, or an illusionary people. However, what they called themselves and what they referred to themselves as was the Mutal Lakama Kanul. And I'm going to break that down for you. This is what they called themselves, the Mutal Lakama Kanul. Mutal translates into a word that essentially is represented by a glyph that is usually portrayed as like a knot, right? Or a bunch of strands that are together, right? And that's really what it means. What I believe it means is together. It implies together or to come together. So mutal lakama, lakam in the Mayan language, it means large or great. And then lakamha, means water. So a great body of water. So we have, so far, what they call themselves, or what they refer to themselves as, is the people who come together, and then a great body of water. But there's a third part, which is kanul. The root of that is kan. Now, in some languages, kan has been interpreted to mean things like priest, or leaders, or people specifically who act as the voices of their god. However, in Maya, it means, or has been translated as the word snake, or serpent, more specifically, right? If you saw my video about this serpent, we figured out and we shared information about how the serpent in ancient times was not a snake. It was not an animal. It didn't slither around on the ground. It didn't have physical teeth or anything, but it was plasma. So let's put these three together. Altogether, the Mayan called themselves Matul, Lakamha, Kanul, right? So Matul, together, or to come together. Lakama, a great body of water. Kanul, which I believe means strong serpent, right? Or strong plasma. So basically what I'm saying is that these are one of the tribes of people who came from the region of the North Pole, or from the inner earth, and spread out in the land. Just like many different natives, especially here in the West, native tribes have discussed how they came up out of the earth, right? That they were spread out, that they were dispersed, much like the lost tribes of Israel in the same manner. So that's what the Mayans refer to themselves as. Now, what happened to the Mayans? If you ask modern academics, they'll tell you that nothing happened to the Mayans. They just continued on. And then even though they built great, wonderful temples and temple complexes and these huge cities that were ornate in architecture, they just abandoned them over time. You know, they just lost interest. I don't think so at all. As a matter of fact, I've seen a correlation between the time period, the approximate time period, when the Mayan civilization pretty much disappeared. I don't believe that it was some slow disappearance over time. A correlation between their disappearance and many other nations and tribes around that same time period, which all seems to just pack up and leave. And sometimes they didn't even pack up. They just left. They just abandoned their complexes. They abandoned their temples. They abandoned their structures. Why? Where did they go? I don't believe the modern academic story that says that they just, disseminated. They just disbanded over time because, of the chicken pox, or because of, some other culture coming in and introducing themselves or whatever. I believe that many of these ancient people, and oftentimes some of our ancestors, that they had knowledge of these apocalyptic cycles. And they knew to look for certain signs, and when they saw those signs, that they were to follow them physically, actually having an exodus to leave where they were to go to a better place. And I believe that we have evidence for that happening time and time again throughout history. All right, cool. So let's check out what this article says. The 2012 phenomenon. The 2012 phenomenon was a range of eschatological beliefs, which means beliefs about the end of the world, that cataclysmic or transformative events would occur on or around the 21st of December 2012. This date was regarded as the end date of a 5,126-year-long cycle in the Mesoamerican long count calendar. And the festivities took place on the 21st of December 2012 to commemorate the event of the countries that were a part of the Maya civilization, being Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. With the main events at Chichen Itza in Mexico and Tikal in Guatemala. Now, Tikal is an interesting name too. one of the Mayan complexes. So the original name of Tikal is actually Yaks Mutal. Remember, the Mayans called themselves Mutal. That was one of the first of the three words that we just went over, right? Mutal meaning together. Yaks means or implies something like first, right? So this was one of their first cities, their first coming togethers. So they named it that, basically, which gives credence to the translation of Mutal, which I just went over. Now, why on December 21st? That's a solstice. And if you follow my work in my channel or read my books, you'll know that I believe, and I have found evidence to support that these apocalyptic cycles, the major shifts that we go through, they happen on the solstices. As a matter of fact, that's why the ancient people built huge megaliths and stone carvings that align specifically with the solstice, with the sun on the solstice dates. Why? Because they needed to check to see if it was in the right place or not. If it didn't align, if it was in the wrong place, then they would get ready to leave, basically. They would have a certain amount of time from that day, which is about 1 or 2 weeks, okay, give or take, to pack up and to leave, to start the journey. They would need to start the journey around that time. Otherwise, they would have to endure, and they would have to stay where they were and buckle down and hope to survive the apocalypse. Now, let's continue on with this. It says various astronomical alignments and numerological formula were proposed for this date. A New Age interpretation held that the date marked the start of a period during which the earth and its inhabitants would undergo a positive physical or spiritual transformation, and that the 21st of December 2012 would mark the beginning of a new era. Others suggested that the date marked the end of the world, or a similar catastrophe. Scenarios suggested for the end of the world included the arrival of the next solar maximum, an interaction between the Earth and Sagittarius A, a supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy, and, of course, the Nibiru cataclysm, in which the Earth would collide with a mythical planet called Nibiru, or even the heating of the Earth's core. Now, these are all what is being put forth by Wikipedia. And as I said earlier, I'm just using these as prompts for discussion, right? These are all ideas of what other people had. How's the world going to end in 2012? Some people thought it was just spiritual. I believe it's all of the above. And I also believe that 2012 hasn't come yet. And that's because we're in the wrong time. Okay, the time that we've been given is on your calendars. When you look at what time it is or what day it is or any of these things, they're wrong. They're incorrect. They have put us into the future, way further into the future. Why? Because according to various prophecies, the closer we get to the end of time, the faster time would go. Meaning that the faster the luminaries that dictate time down here for us, acting like a cosmic clock up in the heavens, the luminaries would speed up in their circuits, in their transits across the sky. And I believe that that's happening now. And I believe that time has been speeding up for many decades now, getting faster and faster. And this is mentioned in the major religions by Muhammad in the Hadiths, by Jesus himself in the Bible. One of the main omens that Jesus said to watch out for was the quickening of time, the speeding up of time. So many people around the 2012 date, they speculated and they wondered, would it be a spiritual awakening? The world's not going to end. And there's always these people that say, well, the world's not going to end. It's our eyes will be opened and we'll have this inner enlightenment. I believe that's a part of it. I believe that that's naturally what happens whenever the Earth's atmosphere is amplified electromagnetically, that it amplifies you electromagnetically, and therefore your brain, your synapses, your very spirit, your chakras, your aura, all become amplified, and therefore there's a spiritual awakening. But that's not the only thing that happens. That's a byproduct of the physical event that happens, which is the firmament ripping open and the atmosphere depressurizing, and terrestrial plasma and electricity and ionized gases being released from deep within the bowels of the earth, filling the surface world where we live, as well as cosmic or energy that is beyond the dome when it opens, entering into this world to ground itself to the earth. So the world becomes a very magical place. It becomes a very mystical, powerful place. And it's basically the source of all of our fantasies and fiction and sci-fi and all of our wondrous stories that we're entertained by for some reason, because we know that there's a grain of truth there. The Nibiru cataclysm, also, this is the same thing that happens. Like the Nibiru star is, from my perspective, the apex dome at the top of the firmament, and it glows and it lights up whenever the terrestrial beams of plasma shoot up like earthly flashlights, illuminating the very firmament itself. And we can see that apex dome, which glows red. And so some people might interpret that as the, some nearby planet or Venus or a star or Nibiru that's close to crashing into the earth. Also, supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy within an enclosed system. Our world, which is an enclosed system, under the dome, is the exact center of the dome. It's right above the North Pole at the apex dome. And it rips open, it blows out during the depressurization of our atmosphere, and it creates a black hole, which makes sense because it's an actual hole in a physical object, which is what a hole is. You can't have a hole in nothing. Nothing is a hole already, just by its nature. Okay? So I believe there's truth to what people are, guessing, or what their interpretations, what their ideas are. I believe that everybody has a little breadcrumb of the truth, that they're all getting closer and closer and closer to the plasma apocalypse and this event. I believe that the Mayans knew all about it. As a matter of fact, I believe many ancient cultures knew all about these cyclical world destructions. It goes on to say, scholars from various disciplines quickly dismissed predictions of cataclysmic events as they arose. Let me point this out, okay? They're trying to control the narrative. Wikipedia does this a lot, right? Scholars from various disciplines, not mine though, and not fringe disciplines. They don't even consider us disciplined or students or disciples or people who learn and investigate on our own and do independent research. All they will say is they will support the mainstream academic model from ancient Babylon, a worldwide system that has been put in place to control the minds, the thoughts, and therefore the perceptions of the entire earth. That's why it's called academics, coming from Akkad, ancient Akkad. Scholars from various disciplines quickly dismissed predictions of cataclysmic events once they arose. Yeah, so did non-scholars, so did just regular people, so did, people sitting on their couch eating Doritos, watching Ancient Aliens, or I don't know, just there's always people on both sides. It says Mayan scholars stated that no classic Mayan accounts forecast impending doom. Let me repeat that. According to Wikipedia, they say Mayan scholars, and that's an all-encompassing statement. They're saying all of them. They're implying, they're allowing you to assume all people who are scholars of the Mayan civilization, but that's not true. I just want to point that out so that we can learn how to properly research. Okay? Which is to be balanced in our understanding of these things, especially when we're reading propaganda or something that's tainted by the very system itself, the very system that controls us or attempts to. Mayan scholars stated that no classic Mayan accounts forecast impending doom. Okay, really? Well, there might not be an actual paper written out by the Mayans or glyph or rock carvings that say, the world is going to end, here's when, here's why. As a matter of fact, so blunt and direct in that manner. However, they did believe in gods who could destroy the world. And they did discuss these gods time and time again. Some of these gods include Bolon Yokte Ku, the god of war, conflict, and the underworld, as well as transformation. He was mentioned in the Tortuguero Monument 6 as appearing at the end of the 13th Baktun. That's the god that's on the way, the Mayan god. And is associated with the renewal of the world and possibly destruction before rebirth. The same iconology or iconography as like the phoenix and Jesus and other things like that, right? There's also Chak, the god of rain and storms. He could destroy the earth through floods, lightning, and tempests. And that's what happens during the plasma apocalypse. There's a worldwide tempest. It's a worldwide storm. It's a great low pressure system, basically, because the pressure is released from our atmosphere. There was Itzan Manaj and Ixchel, which were sky gods. In some myths, heavenly deities caused floods or celestial disruptions that wipe out civilizations. There was also Hunhao, god A. They lettered these gods. The death god, ruler of Chibalba, the Mayan underworld. Symbolized death, decay, and the inevitable end. So while Wikipedia will say things like, you know, most people who studied this, classic Mayan accounts the Mayans didn't forecast impending doom, I'm saying they did. Okay? If you can read between the lines, if you can understand their actual belief systems, then you can see not just the Mayans, but every culture throughout antiquity for the most part, many of them. They all believed in and referred to cyclical cataclysms in some form or another. Now, let me check my notes real quick. All right, so let's talk about time speeding up. Okay, I want to get off of the Wikipedia article for just a moment, all right? Now, the point of this video is to bring to your attention, and to my own, that if it's true, if these prophecies, even by Jesus himself in the Bible, and keep in mind, people are always going to interpret these things to their own ends, okay? It happens quite often. I've done it many times in my past, especially when it comes to the Bible. People interpret it selfishly. They project themselves into the Bible. They project their idea of their gods and their beliefs onto the Jesus of the Bible or the God of the Old Testament or whatever it may be, okay? So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. These prophecies indicated that time would speed up the closer we get to the apocalypse. And it does, being that the luminaries start to speed up. This is why the ancients watched the heavens. This is why they watched the sky so adamantly, so precisely, to see how the sky was changing, or if it was changing, or how quickly it was changing. They looked for the omens up in the heavens, and they knew that it would indicate change here on earth. One of the omens that we have, and that I've done a video about recently, was younger people in the past looking older. I've seen a few very interesting and compelling videos on different social media where people are showing pictures. And we live in an age where technology can be used as a useful tool to help us out, to make comparisons, so that we're not this frog in a pot where the water is slowly boiling us to death and we don't notice it because of the gradual change, right? Time is that way too. Now we have access to technology where we can easily look back at old pictures and old movies and things and make these comparisons. Just like how we use comparative mythology, we can use comparative technology. In doing so, people have noticed that when they look back on older pictures of people who are a certain age, younger people, that they looked older than people of the same age of today. So, for example, you might have a 16-year-old in yesteryear, back, 50, 60 years ago, around that time, right? And they looked not like a 16-year-old today. They looked more like they were in their 20s, right? And there's, I've done a video about this. Many other people have done videos about this, but it's compelling to say the least. Now, if time is speeding up, if the luminaries, right? And I'm not talking about how we feel about time. Like, I feel time is going fast. I feel time is going slow. That can change and fluctuate, but not how we keep track of time, which is the luminaries under the dome. When the luminaries start to speed up, the years fly past. Just like in Three-Body Problem, right? Before every apocalyptic cycle. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but in the Netflix movie Three-Body Problem, right? These protagonists, these main characters, put on this alien technology virtual reality helmet where the aliens have given them this sort of scenario, this video game. And they put it on and it's like they're in another world. And the whole point of that video game is that they have to figure out how to stop the apocalypse, which has to do with this alignment of these three suns in the sky. Every time that they put this on, they come to some sort of a temple or a castle or a home of a great leader like a king or a priest or something. And every time when they think that they have figured out how to stop the apocalypse from happening, the priest of that ruler or the king or whoever will say, "Let the years fly past." And they slam their hand to the ground, and you can watch as the sun and the moon and the stars, they all start going in like time lapse. They quicken, they speed up. And they're showing you the truth in the movies when this happens. This is what happens to us. Time is flying past now. Just because it doesn't suddenly happen and, you see like the stars leaving star trails and they're all flying around out of nowhere. But if you compare what we see and experience today with what we have seen and experienced of yesteryear, then you can see, just like the younger people looking older in older photographs, that's because their years were longer. It took more time for the luminaries to make their circuits, to go around in a circle above us. Okay? They still called it a year. They still called, one of those luminaries, the focal point, the sun, going from straight above, leaving, and then coming all the way back. They still called that a day. But it took longer. So we're confused today because we project our circumstances that we live in today, the modern world, onto the past. And this is an issue that has messed us up time and time again when trying to figure out the past. We cannot make that mistake of projecting modern circumstances onto the ancient world or even the very recent past. So we have young people looking older. Okay, to me, that's a huge piece of evidence that indicates that time itself is speeding up. We also have the rise of centenarians, people that are living to be past 100. Back in, between the 1920s and the 1950s, the number of people living past 100 was something like 30,000 in the whole earth. Today, it's close to 1 million. That's a huge change. It has nothing to do with sunscreen. It has nothing to do with modern medicine or better living conditions. People are actually dying younger and younger and younger, but we're attributing more and more years to them because of the quickening, the speeding up of the luminaries, right? If you, let me give you an example. I'm just going to make up some numbers, but let's say 100 years ago, one transit or 1 year, let's say 1 year, would be equal to today's year. It would be like, 3/4 of a year or a half of a year, somewhere in there. Okay. So we can have more birthdays, more and more. It's not that you're living longer. You're not. Your lifespan is shortening and shortening and shortening, which is also another prophecy in Hinduism, in the Kali Yuga. 309. What's up, 309? Good to see you. High five. So time is flying past. We have more and more people living past 100. However, they're not 100 in the years of yesteryear, okay? Those years were much longer. Those people lived longer, which is the opposite of what academics will try to tell you about people in the past that, if you go further back, they only lived to be like 25 or 30 because they had rocks in their corn or, whatever dumb excuses they'll give to us. I don't believe so. I believe that the major religions of the world record people living to be hundreds and hundreds of years old, the further back in time we go. Now, also keep in mind, these events are cyclical. So will be the length of time that we live in general. Okay. We will have fluctuations. We will have periods of time where we live to be a very long time. And then we'll have periods of time where we don't live to be very long at all. Now, let me get back to my notes here. Let's talk about the prophecies. Some of the major ones, okay? Within Islam, in the hadiths, specifically the Sahih Bukhari in Islamic tradition, the Prophet Muhammad discussed how before Judgment Day, time would physically actually speed up. Not like, oh, I felt like it was so fast. You felt like it was fast because it is fast. Okay? That an hour would be like the flickering of a flame. And, you know, the years would pass by very quickly. We also have Jesus in Matthew chapter 24 in the Bible, who talked about the shortening of days, that the days themselves would be shortened. People can interpret that in different ways, all they want to. They can try to make it mean something else. That's what it means to me. It literally, physically, actually means time shortens. In the Old Testament, we also have a possible reference to this in the book of Daniel, where it talks about time, times, and then the dividing of time, the shortening of days. Quite literally, half of time. Time's cut in half. If time is cut in half, you're going to have way, way more birthdays. More people living to be 100 when they're really living to be 50 or whatever. In 2nd Esdras, there's a reference to a quote that says, "The more you search, the more you will marvel, for the world hasteth fast to pass away." Hasteth means to hurry up, and fast means to go fast. So it's hastening, or it's hurrying up very fast in order to pass away, meaning the closer and closer we get to the apocalypse, the faster time will go. Some people say that the Hopi speak of a time whenever the days will speed up and the seasons will blend together. That it will be, you know, you'll have like snow during summer and summer conditions during winter, and the seasons are just confused and in a state of confusion. That has to do with the fluctuation of time, the fluctuation of the energy in this contained, closed system of a world that we live in, and other things. Some say Edgar Cayce predicted time would accelerate as humanity approached a vibrational shift. Yeah, there's going to be a frequency shift. And there already is if you're paying attention to the Schumann resonance. The frequencies are shifting. They're changing. They're fluctuating, which is a major omen of the apocalypse. Within the writings of Hinduism, there is a Hindu prophecy within the Sri Kalki Purana, which is a Hindu text that describes the 10th avatar of Vishnu. So Vishnu, this basically Vishnu to me is the blue beam that comes up out of Rupus Nigra or Mount Meru. Okay. It's a Hindu text that describes the 10th avatar of Vishnu, or the 10th appearance of Vishnu. Kalki, which is his new name, and his role in restoring Dharma at the end of the Kali Yuga. So each time Vishnu is given a new name, it's the same thing as like the never-ending story where the main kid has to give his mom a new name and he names her Moonchild at the end. It's the same thing. It's up to us, the survivors, to rename all of these things that keep happening cyclically that we forget about. We give them a name, right? That's why I have named this event the Plasma Apocalypse. It will stick into people's minds. They'll have something to refer to it. They'll have something to call it, instead of it just being the unnamed thing, the unnamed one, the thing that we shall not mention. Screw that. I'm mentioning it. I'm going to talk about it. I've given it a name to make it easier for myself and other people to research it, to keep it in mind. Otherwise, it'll just be forgotten, and it'll just sneak up on us once again. Within this book, it describes the Kali Yuga, the Dark Age, which is the time we live in now. You don't live during a modern age of enlightenment and any of that garbage, okay? The only thing we have that is advanced is technology. However, technology is unnecessary in a world filled with magic. Technology is a middleman between you and magic, okay? when you have access to actual magic or manipulation of energy through your will, through your thought, through your chakra, your aura, your very spirit, telepathy and things of that nature, you don't need cell phones. You don't need technology, okay? So it's really not as advanced as they make it out to be. Anyways, it goes on to describe the Kali Yuga as having an ever-shortening years. Ever-shortening years and chaotic time. It says in the age of Kali, time is unstable, and people will measure it in unwholesome ways. They're manipulating time. They're messing with it. They're measuring it however they want to. Who's they? The rulers of this world. The people who are changing and manipulating your perceptions and your perspective to control you so that they can live in luxury, so that they can live comfortably, having us do all of the work. They have taken our energy, which means they have taken charge of the world and of you and of me. Some examples of this and how they do this. The changing of the calendar. And these are just a few examples. We have the example and the theory of a phantom span of time. 297 years added to our calendar. Why? Well, this theory hypothesizes a conspiracy by the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III. Otto basically means rich, in case you're wondering. And Pope Sylvester II to fabricate the Anno Domini, or Domini, dating system retroactively in order to place them at the special year of AD 1000. What does that mean in layman's terms? It means that they changed the historic record. They changed the calendar so that they would be associated with the year 1000. Because to them, that was the year whenever special kings or special leaders were supposed to rule. Lechewawa, what's up? Welcome to my channel. High five. They did this in order to rewrite history and legitimize Otto's claim to the Holy Roman Empire. That's just one example. Let's look at some more. Now, some people have picked up on a possible 1,000 years being added to our calendar. That in ancient times, they would put a J followed by the actual year. And over time, that J turned into an I, and that I was misinterpreted as a 1. So that 1, whenever they put that into, say, the year 1300, is actually just a J. This is the theory. And it means the year after Jesus, 300, not 1300 or 1300. There were definitely 11 days that were skipped in 1752. They just skipped 11 days. They told all the people, there was a huge riot over this when the people found out. And they also, the leaders of this world learned something very quickly. You don't tell the people. You tell the people and they're going to freak out. They're not going to be happy. They're going to want to get paid for those 11 days or 1,000 years worth of work or however it may be, right? 11 days were skipped or added to the calendar in 1752. Depending on what country you live in, sometimes it's as much as 13 because some people didn't adopt those 11 days for some time. The book of Enoch. Enoch talks about having 364 days, not 365. We also have the addition of daylight savings time, which is total bullcrap. It's garbage. I know it, and many of you out there know it, okay? It's wrong to do that. Daylight savings time is wrong, okay? And it blows my mind that they don't at least pretend to vote for something like that. Like, let's change time. Screw voting. They just change it. You can't change what time it is once a year, twice a year, every year. I'm not in favor of that. That's just further complicates matters. Okay. Not only that, but it throws me off. They're constantly throwing us off. Our circadian rhythm. You know what I mean? Like when people go to sleep, whenever they're awake, you guys could probably tell I'm tired during this live stream. I can feel it and sense it. But a lot of that has to do with, one, I've been working hard, but two, my circadian rhythm's off. Okay. It's off bad, as a matter of fact. Okay. And I know many people have reported the same to me, that you guys can't sleep or that you're sleeping during strange times of the day, that you're only getting like an hour or two in, or that you go in and out of sleep. I think this has a lot to do with the electromagnetic fluctuation that the Earth's going through. And we'll probably talk more about that tomorrow in the Omens episode that we have. We also have leap year. Yeah. Right? 20 days or 30 days has September, April, May, June, November. All the rest have 31 except for February alone. See, they keep on having to make adjustments because they have screwed with time, right? They're trying to catch up. Instead of just admitting that time speeds up and therefore we need to adjust to the quickening that's happening, that's evident, they don't admit that. They're academics, and they believe that we're on a spinning, wobbling, flying blue marble through, water ball through space, following a giant fireball through space, through uncharted territory. No one knows where we're going on an inevitable crash course with something. Sometimes they say the planet's spinning faster. Sometimes it's slowed down because the icebergs all melted and stuff. Either way, sometimes they say the moon's going away. I'm not talking about apogee and perigee. I'm talking about the moon just leaving the world behind. Anyways, I clearly don't believe in any of their academic garbage. To me, that's fantasy. To me, this is the fantasy world. Okay? It takes way more of a leap of faith for me personally, and I would assume it would for most other intelligent thinkers, people who are not sleepwalkers. Way more of a leap of faith to believe in any of the modern stories or narratives or academic propaganda than it would to believe in unicorns and magic and things of that nature. How about our months? Here in the United States, at the very least, right? The year ends in December, which literally means the 10th month. However, problem is, it's the 12th month. They've added extra months, right? Beginning with September, right? Sept means 7. Oct means 8. Nov means 9. Deca means 10. The 10th month. So why is it the 12th? They're screwing with time. They're messing with time. So we don't know what time it is. We don't know what time we're in. But what I do know personally, and what I have seen based on my experiences in life and my research, is that time itself is speeding up. And if that's true, then it stands to reason that the year we believe it is, 2025, is the wrong year. It's too far forward. And that the real year is much further back, which means it's also, if that's true, then it stands to reason that we have not arrived at the Mayan calendar end date of 2012 yet. That it's on the horizon, that it's on the way, that they were right. And that people, they clapped, they celebrated when they thought that nothing happened. All the naysayers threw a little party, so that they could be trolls and make fun of, all the people that thought something so stupid and so dumb. Well, guess what? The joke's on you. 2012's right around the corner. I always like to say that it's always the year 1984, actually. That's on my own little inside joke. All right, let's get back to this little article we have here. It says December 2012 marked the conclusion of the Baktun, a time period of the Mesoamerican long count calendar used in Mesoamerica prior to the arrival of Europeans. So they had a long count. They have these cyclical calendars, right? And there's cycles within cycles, okay, like gears. The apocalypse. So now, this is Wikipedia talking about the subject of the apocalypse as it pertains to 2012. There is a strong tradition of world ages in Maya literature, but the record has been distorted, leaving several possibilities open to interpretation. Right? I'm going to tell you right now, my interpretation, okay? These people knew of these cyclical apocalypses, not like cycles in nature, like seasons, okay? I mean, it's similar to that. It's just these are great seasons. And when these great seasons come to an end, so does the world as we know it, as we are familiar with it. Your world is going to end, okay? This world, the way that you're used to it, the norms, the things that people accept as real and possible and not possible, all of that is coming to an end. It has before and it will again. According to the Popol Vuh, a compilation of the creation accounts of the Quiche Maya of the colonial era highlands, the current world is the fourth, right? So same thing with Native Americans. Some people interpret, you know, their oral traditions as saying that we live in the fourth world. Sometimes they say the fifth world. When they say world, they mean it's a brand new world after the apocalypse. It's not a brand new entire Earth, or the whole place is just destroyed at the molecular level and then remade or something. It's the same place. It's just completely different. It's altogether changed. The energy in this world has shifted and changed, and it changes everything else. The invisible affects the physical. So, the Popol Vuh describes the gods first creating 3 failed worlds, followed by a successful 4th world in which humanity was placed. This one is not successful. Okay? If I'm going to be the personal judge of all things earthly, okay? You know, if I can be allowed to fantasize for a moment, I'm slapping the gavel down and I'm finding everyone guilty. Okay? This world is a failure. That's my walk. That's my path. And I know people are like, oh man, I thought it's a good vibe tribe. Is this the right channel? Where am I? Yes. Listen, the good vibe part of that is that it's going to be remade. We get infinite tries. Okay. Collectively speaking. And there's good in the world. Okay. And it's just, I don't know. I don't want to get too negative, but basically, this one's going to get reset too. Okay, that's my views on that. Now, the gods created 3 failed worlds, followed by a successful 4th world in which humanity was placed. And the Maya long count, the previous world ended after 13 Baktuns, or roughly 5,125 years. Now, is that years as we count them today? I doubt it. A long count's 0 date was set at a point in the past marking the end of the 3rd world and the beginning of the current one, which corresponds to the 11th of August, 3114 BC. Now that's interesting. Let's see, where did I hear that date before? The beginning of the Kali Yuga, right? When did the Kali Yuga start? 3102. I'd say that's damn close, wouldn't you? Right? Especially given that we're all messed up time-wise. So they say traditionally the Kali Yuga, the worst one to live in, began in 3102 BC. The Mayans started their calendar in 3114. That's pretty damn close, I'd say. All right, let's continue on. This means that the 4th world would have reached the end of its 13th Baktun on December 21st of 2012. Now, like I said, I just want to reiterate the solstices, okay? We don't know which solstice. We don't know if it's going to be this year on the solstice or next year or the year after that, okay? But I believe we can know the time of the year, not the time when it happens, not the year, not the day, not the month or anything, right? And the solstice, by the way, is just a marker of how to know when to get ready. It doesn't end on the solstice, right? I personally believe it actually, the end being the sky ripping open and the atmosphere depressurizing, people getting sucked up into the heavens and things floating everywhere, things weighing a lot less whenever it reaches equilibrium, the oceans being taken out of this world, terrestrial beams of light shooting up from all the cavernous systems, plasma volcanoes going off, sky serpents, fireworms descending from the heavens as ionized hydrogen grounds itself to the earth, right? That's how I envision the end, or the rebirth, the renewal. Where was I? I got lost in my own little fantastic thoughts. Let's see. Oh, the solstice, right? Yeah. So anyways, the solstice is the marker for when you can know if that happens to be the year, right? Based on what's happening in the sky at the solstice. So that's why the solstice was so important to them. But for me, it's summer solstice and winter solstice. Those are the two cycles. We go back and forth between the summer solstice cataclysm and the winter solstice cataclysm. I personally lean towards the summer solstice being the next one to happen. So if you're paying attention and taking notes, I highly recommend that you are not outside during the summer solstice on any year in the future, even this one. I highly recommend you stay indoors at the very least. But you don't have to. Let's see, let's continue on. Armageddon would overtake the degenerate peoples of the world and all creation on the final day of the 13th Baktun. This is a quote. Thus, our present universe would be annihilated when the great cycle of the long count reaches completion. Yeah, the degenerates of the world, that's like everybody. Once again, I'm speaking from my opinion, and I am also affected by the energy or the lack thereof. Okay, which is, for me, that's what Satan is. That's really the satanic energy of this world. Is we have no gas yet. Okay, we're out of gas. We're out of energy. And it makes things satanic. Okay, it just leads to a lower quality of living life. You know, sleeping all day, being consumers, all that stuff. And on top of that, the energy that is left over is just negative vibrations. And that's the season of Satan. That's Satan's little season that everyone's freaking out about right now. I'm about to go off, and I'm just going to talk about whatever comes to my mind right now. I don't really like reading too much, like for my live streams, especially when you can't see anything fun in the background. Oh, I will point out the Mayan calendar though. See that face right there in the middle? Yeah, that's the shield of Zeus. That's Medusa's head. And that's what we talk about so much. That's the apex dome, which is the central of the cosmic clock, which is why they use that for a clock or calendar. Yeah, season of Satan. That one is interesting. I'm having so much fun watching people's reactions to that. You know, people are so torn, but people are always torn, you know, whenever there's revelations. During these end times, it's not just a rise in evil, but the remnant, those few that have, you know, the few good people left, there's a rise in their power too. There's a rise in people's prophetic abilities. There's a rise in people having visions and seeing and just having these downloads of information and truth and revelation and realizations. Of course, they're the minority in this satanic, evil, corrupt, nasty, upside down, base world. But if you're within that minority, then that's reason to rejoice and to be thankful and to be glad that you're on that side, the side of good. Oh, let's see. Let me jump in the chat. Does anybody have any questions in the chat? I haven't really been looking at the chat this whole time. Type in @JayDreamerZ if you have a question, and it'll highlight if you spell it correctly. Just let me know. I'll keep an eye on the chat if anybody has any questions, okay? And I'm just going to go for a few more minutes here, and then maybe we'll wrap things up, because I feel like I made the point. Right? I mean, I could talk about all this stuff at length, and I want to, but I also consider my audience, and I don't want to bore people. I feel like people can only eat so much before they're full. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, in the world we live in today, physically, people will stuff themselves way past the point of being full and still not be satisfied. But spiritually and intellectually, people tend to get full pretty quickly. So I'm always hesitant to go for too long. And my live streams are already, you know, in at least an hour each. Let's see. Up in Smoke says, I want a knight's armor like you. Oh, you saw my knight's armor? Yeah, it's in my bedroom. It's just in the corner. It's always right there protecting me. Pakistan Zinda Good says, JayDreamerZ, what year do you think it is? I don't believe in years. There is no year. There is no years. Are like they're a feeble attempt to try to label something that's constantly changing, right? Years are not static. I believe in, like, you know, the suns. Like how the Hopi people and the Mayans and stuff, they like, oh, it was the first sun, the third sun, the fourth sun. We live in the age of I believe in ages. The great time period, the great day and the great night. We live right now during the great night. And there's a great day on the horizon when the sun will rise in your hearts, etc. I don't like, I don't think it's helpful to keep track of things that are constantly shifting and changing. You know what I mean? But if I were to guess, I'd say, I don't know, based on how we do, or how humans do, keep track of time and all that stuff, we're probably, I would say, we're before 2012. I don't know. I don't want to put a number on it, because then people are going to quote me and crap. You know what I mean? Fudge that. Everyone's going to, JayDreamerZ said, I'm going to go on to Reddit. According to JayDreamerZ, he said that we're in the year, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm good. I don't want to do that. I'd rather go off of feeling. You know what I mean? Years and dates and numbers and all that stuff, that's more left brain. I'm more of a right brain kind of person. All right. Lucy Rose Up. What's up? Says, I was curious. Were you aware that May 1st was a cross quarter day? The midpoint between the equinox and the solstice. As you write on Q. A cross quarter day. I never heard of a cross quarter day. Interesting. But yeah, I'm very interested in the equinoxes and the solstices. I will also give you another little hint. God, I hope the apocalypse comes soon, man. I feel like I'm dying. I mean, I know I'm dying, but I don't want to. I don't want to die. I would like to live for a very long time, but I need the energy. You know what I mean? Where was I going with that? That's another thing, is we're forgetful. That's how you know we're in the season of Satan. It's just people that so easily forget things quickly. Let's see. I'm looking for @JayDreamerZ, so please do type that in. Rue, what's up, Rue? Oh my God, I haven't seen Rue in forever. Let's see. Where was I? Why did the Mayans sacrifice so much? No, not to eat them. Oh my God. That's the story we're told. They were all cannibals and savages and didn't know anything, right? What's up, Rue? So Rue asks, why did the Mayans sacrifice so much, right? It's not just the Mayans. And I believe that most of these sacrifices originally were volunteers, because they wanted to keep the population down, because they knew and correlated the apocalypse with a high human population. They knew that once the human population grew out of control and people started breeding like rabbits and idiots, that it correlated with the apocalypse each and every time. And they knew this, so they needed to keep the population down. I believe that was the origin of all of this sacrifice. And it wasn't like, I'm going to sacrifice you. You can't sacrifice someone else. People sacrificed themselves. They were offerings. They offered up themselves. They volunteered to save the world, basically. That's my perspective on it. Now, could it become corrupt over time? Yes, of course. Could it be manipulated over time when things change? Yes, of course. All right. Louis Love says, keep going. I know, but I don't want people are getting full. I can feel it already. People are full to begin with, because I messed up the beginning of this video. Let's see. I'm just looking in the chat, see if there's anything here. Ryan H says, with the changing of times, do you think there are events in history that overlap or look like two events but are really one? I'm not sure what you're referring to. If you give me an example, I could probably get a better grasp on that question. Lucy Rose Up says, you weren't, where are you? We have 4 of them. Oh, I got you. Those little midway thingies. I don't think you were aware, but look into it when you can. I feel like I'm dying. Okay, right on. Thank you. Hi, Rue. Have I read Hamlet's Mill? No, but maybe I have in high school. I think they forced us to read that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that came up in my research earlier today, actually. I remember that name, Hamlet's Mill. All right, I'm not looking anything up in Gematria because I don't care about Gematria. I'm sure it's true. Okay, no offense to anybody that loves Gematria. One of my buddies, Tommy, he loves freaking Gematria. You'll never hear me talk about Gematria. I hate numbers. I hate computers, numbers, calculators, calendars, all that crap. Sweep that up and throw that out with the trash in my house. I mean, you guys can talk about it. I don't care. But I literally don't care. I just don't care about Gematria at all. It's not my thing. Not my deal. There's truth to it. And I love astrology and stuff like that. You know, show me a picture and I'll break it down. Show me a number. Actually, I can get close to numbers. The only way that I can build a bridge to numbers is glyphs. Okay? Because numbers originally were pictures. That's why pictures win. In my book, I love pictures. The numbers made sense. They were pictures of things. So anyways, I like pictures. Oh, consumer, I don't care what you think in the chat. Let me just block your ass real quick. What did you say? I don't know about that one. Well, who asked you? I didn't ask you what your freaking opinion was. I don't know. Can I block that dude? I see people got just bad energy. Troll ass people talking out of the side of their mouth. I don't know about that one, dude. Look at your dumb picture. Same millennial troll picture. I don't know where you are in the chat, but I'll block you later if I can't find you. Oh, it's because I don't have it set to like all the things. Set to all messages. Yeah. Why does YouTube do that? You can choose to see the top messages or all messages. Duh, I want to see all of them. Duh. Like, who does that? Where is that dude? I think somebody already got you. Oh, yeah, they did. I'll block you on top of that. Bye-bye, sucker. All right, boom. All right, back to the cool people. Let's see, we got Pakistan Zendagood says, JayDreamerZ, do you think all these wars are a form of sacrifice to delay the plasma apocalypse? The wars? Possibly. Yeah, that could be. I think that I've seen evidence that the elite of the world, the controllers, have been trying to manipulate the apocalypse. That could be one way. Ross, what's up, Ross? Says, JayDreamerZ, where does Mother's Day fit into the apocalypse cycle? Just kidding, sort of. I don't know. I don't really celebrate Mother's Day. I don't care. No, sorry. I don't believe in one day to honor your mom or your dad. I believe in you should be honoring your parents by being an honorable person yourself 365 days a year, all the time. Let's see. Louis Love says, JayDreamerZ, I used to love eating shrimp until you explained what it was. Yeah, it's a freaking cockroach of the ocean. Now I can't see shrimp. I mean, look at them, right? If you don't look at them all like these little curly pink deals after they're all prepped and crap, you just look at a shrimp the way it looks. That's a nasty alien bug, man. An underwater disgusting bug. Fudge that. I'm not eating any of that garbage. Michael Marcello says, JayDreamerZ, how does this tie into the prophecy of the popes and the year 2027? I don't know about 2027. Like I said, I think all of our calendar is wrong. Okay. The whole calendar. It's just wrong. It's off. It's bad. I don't even want to go by it. I don't go by it, actually. Half the time, more than half the time, I have no idea what day it is. I don't even, the only incentive I personally have to keep track of like the official days is so that I can pick up my son and see him and make plans with my daughter and my son and stuff, like on the days that we're supposed to and stuff. Other than that, I give two craps about what year it is, what day it is, if it's a weekday or it's a weekend or whatever. I don't care. Oh, but the Pope thing, that is pretty interesting. The prophecies of the popes and this being the last one, or the last one before some sort of super evil pope or whatever. I find that to be very interesting. I haven't studied the papacy a lot in my on my path. It's come up a time or two, but I'm keeping my eye on it for sure. I think it's very interesting. Yeah. These popes all don't, is it just me, or don't all the popes kind of look the same whenever they start getting old? Is it just me? I feel like they all look, if I think of a pope, I see the same, like the same general guy in my head. I don't know. Let's see. Sam, what up, Sam? Oh, the bikini truther too. High five, double high five. One for Sam, one for the bikini truther. Thank you so much. Sam says you're the man. Thank you. What else we got here? Zedrin Bing says, hey JayDreamerZ, are we living in a perfect physics simulation reflected by God's consciousness? I would just simply say you're living in the mind of God. Just simply put, you're living in, if there is a God and it's an omnipresent being, then you live in God. Boom. And most likely the quote unquote mind of God. That's how I see it. M. Ganim says, JayDreamerZ, was there a time that people worshipped the North Star? Yeah, of course. I totally think so. I mean, not the North Star that we have today. That little tiny dot up there, that's not the North Star. That's not even directly in the exact north. That's just the closest one to the exact north. Yeah, not that North Star. The real North Star is gigantic, and you'll see it one day. It's the apex dome. Let's see. Anything else? Yeah, I don't know what you mean when you say evil with a question mark. I don't know what that means. I'm not keeping up with all the different trains of thought. All right, let me check this article, see if there's anything else I wanted to discuss or bring up. I got some really fun credits that I'm about to roll. I'm also kind of excited to roll the new credits. I spent days and days on these new credits. I remixed the song at the end. It's kind of have a steampunk vibe to it. I like it. All right, let's see. There was one more thing I wanted to point out here. What is it? Oh, the I Ching. There was a correlation between 2012 and the I Ching as well. Something about Terence McKenna. Doomsday theories. There we go. Doomsday means the day of the dome. Just so you know. Means the dome opening. Or the day you can see the dome. You'll see the dome. The idea that the year 2012 presaged a world cataclysm, the end of the world, or the end of human civilization, became a subject of popular media speculation as the date of 2012 approached. The idea was promulgated by the many pages on the internet, particularly on YouTube. So they're saying YouTube helped to flame that fire. The Discovery Channel was criticized for its quasi-documentaries about the subject that sacrificed accuracy for entertainment. Okay, clearly they don't believe. People think that this is a non-point. That's why I wanted to talk about it. They're like, oh, that was a failed prophecy or whatever. Like the world didn't end in 2012. God, you know how many people have said that? Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Believe me. Just like it's always 1984, the world will end in 2012. Because it's not 2025. Galactic alignments. I don't believe in the galaxy as it's portrayed by academics. But I do believe in alignments. And there will be a great alignment or a conjunction. It's the great conjunction of the dark crystal, basically. Geomagnetic reversal. That's exactly what's going to happen. Planet X. Nibiru is called Planet X because you'll see an actual X on it. Okay, the apex dome reflects what's below it, which is the four rivers of paradise. And you'll see the X up there in the heavens. That's why it's called Planet X. Not because it's the 10th or anything like that. It's people in the chat. Doctor Who says, thinking moon cults, the land of Shinar. Shinar. Correct, yes. Not sure how to respond to that, but I'm with you. Somehow I understand what you're saying there. 3 square 9 says, JayDreamerZ, does the fractal nature of reality make you feel more insignificant? I don't feel insignificant at all, so I can't feel more insignificant or more free. I don't think I can feel more free either. Even under the illusion, I can partition my mind in so many different ways. I can experience reality at different levels personally. Okay, so on one level, I hear your question. On another level, I'm thinking way up here. All of these things make me feel nice. I don't know how else to put it. Everything already is. So at the ultimate level, I'm just enjoying the ride. Yes, Apex Dome is Heaven's Door or Heaven's Gate, the portal, the Stargate. What else we got here? Ryan H says, JayDreamerZ, I've also thought and seen some videos on the idea that the world did end in 2012. Oh, okay. Well, it's news to me because I'm doing a live stream right now. But I also accept the idea that it's not 2012 yet. Right. I know people say that all the time. The world actually did end, and like a wave of reality, like a new reality washed over us. And that's why the Mandela effect's happening. And we're like in an alternate dimension right now. And we just didn't even notice it. And some people, I've heard that. Trust me. I like it. I think it's creative. I don't agree with it, but I think it's creative. And when the world ends, you'll freaking know it. Trust me. Okay? You're going to know it. The dead will rise. Okay? The ground will split open everywhere. People will fall into the earth. Everything will become muddy. Freaking all the lights will turn off. You'll hear the loudest noises you've ever heard in your life. Your nose will bleed. I mean, there's like, you'll know when the world ends. Some people won't, I guess, because, you know, many people are going to pass out. People will just black out from shock. They'll get so scared. I'm going to have to step over them as I'm on my way to Mount Meru. Excuse me. Sorry. Excuse me. Anyways, I have to make fun of it because it's freaking hilarious and it's awesome and entertaining to me. This is what all of your entertainment's about anyways. Oh, Russell, it says, I just got your second book in the mail. Oh, cool. You're welcome. I'm eventually going to change all of my packaging. I'm like rebranding my logo and stuff like that. And I'm trying to like fix up my website and stuff. I'm a perfectionist, so I'll probably end up changing the... Oh, I have a secret. I can't tell you guys. I'm gonna save this secret until I'm done with it, and then I'm just gonna bam lay it on everybody. But it's a good secret. It's a cool thing that you can expect in the future. All right, what's up, Mystic Mardi? Mystic Tuesday. Pakistan says, I was referring to the popes. They all look evil and threw off negative energy, satanic, and adverse to mine. Oh, okay, I gotcha. Let's see, Gravity Falls cartoon 3-parter episode, Weird Mageddon. Right on. I don't really watch that kind of crap. Don't get me wrong. I know there's lots of truth in Rick and Morty and Gravity Falls and all that weird cartoons that are jittery and vibrate and just look strange and stuff. It's not my cup of tea. I can't watch that. I'm a 90s kind of person, you know, 80s cartoons, like back when they were good. I can't. Plus, there's too many base jokes. Jokes about sex, jokes about poop, jokes about freaking nasty stuff. Man, I can't. It pisses me off. I can't watch that. And I haven't even seen Gravity Falls, so I'm just guessing on that one. But I'm assuming it's very similar. Zedrin Being says, hey, what if the metahuman consciousness can change and alter physical reality by only agreeing on some ideals? Okay. That's not really a question. But, metahuman consciousness can change and alter physical... Yeah, that's going to happen in the world to come. For sure. By only agreeing on some ideals. I don't know. That sounds like a math problem to me. That's too much for me to process. I'm kind of tired too. Pakistan says, excuse me, pardon me, excuse me. You're good. All right, I think that's pretty much it. I'm tired, man. I'm so out of energy. Oh, it says something about Graham Hancock over here. Other catastrophes. Author Graham Hancock and his finger. One day I'll probably be in an article somewhere. That'd be cool. People will reference me. They'll be like, according to JayDreamerZ in his book, Ancient Oblivion, the Plasma Apocalypse. That'd be cool, I think. Fingerprints of the Gods. Man, I haven't read that one in a long time. He interpreted these remarks, the Maya code. Okay, I'm too tired. I gotta wrap things up. I'm gonna roll the credits. There's much more on this topic, but in short, time is speeding up. It's not 2012 yet. You can look forward to it happening. The world's going to end as you know it. And to have a better time with it, I highly recommend checking out more of my videos, especially those when I have more energy and I'm more entertaining, I guess. I like those. I like that version of me the best. My website. Check out my website. Check out my books, JayDreamerZ.com. All about these topics. And although I might be playful with the topic, please know I'm 100% super serious about all of it. I just like to have fun with it. So don't take that as being dismissive or not being serious about the topic whatsoever. I just don't like to be serious. I'll take it. I'll be serious. I can't even talk. I'm so tired. I'm going to wrap things up. Until next time, I'm JayDreamerZ saying good vibes and goodbye.
But something's forcing me to stay. It'd be easier on me if I turn away to flee. But there's something holding on, the way of being long gone. There's so many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Find so many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake I'll try so hard to fade away, but something's forcing me to stay. It'd be easier for me if I turn away to flee. But there's something holding on in the way of being long gone. There's so many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Far too many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up, time to wake up.